a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is BJ.
And my name is Mitu.
And this week we're watching The Doomies on Disney+, Life, Larry and the Pursuit of Unhappiness on HBO, and Sparks of Tomorrow on Netflix.
So stay tuned to find out which time BJ would want to reenact.
Oh, well, I'll think about it.
All right, until then, why don't you let us know what's happening in a very spooky-ooky town?
We're talking about the Doomies. In this sleepy coastal town, friends Bobby and Rami, voiced by Max Middleman and Madison Calderon, are desperately searching for something strange to happen. And when they come across a magical rune, their town is suddenly overrun with monsters that they must fend off. So Mitu, what did you think of these two friends who are now getting what they asked for?
In my most wishful thinking, this is my new Gravity Falls. I really enjoyed it. Shout out to the listener who recommended Gravity Falls to us. I fell in love immediately. I watched all of that show and the movie, and this isn't quite there. I think Gravity Falls has a bit more heart at the center of it because it's siblings. There's this story about their family, but in this one, these two friends seem to kind of mainly have each other, especially Bobby, whose mom is missing. So I love the mix of these two friends being so close and then this spooky backdrop of this town where just weird stuff happens.
I am seeing those similarities, and I like the spooky vibe they've established. The town already seemed weird and strange before things started happening, and I like that it starts with the Doomies, their own name in this universe, of trying to just see what spooky stuff they can find.
They went looking for answers, and they found them. And that's on being careful what questions you're asking.
And I think that sets the stage for the story to really grow, because they did find something strange in the woods. A monster starts attacking them, but they don't know the motivation behind the monster. They don't know what that magical stone is. And they haven't even talked to the lighthouse manager yet, who seems to know a little bit more about what's going on.
I loved the mystery of that, of they don't seem to actually be the first people to come across this, which always makes for a more interesting story. And to your point, I love the way this is set up. We didn't get into too much in this first episode. They didn't overcomplicate it. Shout out to the people at Disney. Y'all seem to know how to put together a program after all this time. And in this instance, I thought it was the perfect balance of, we know what this larger storyline is going to be, which is what are these things that are going bump in the night, and what is their connection to Bobby, these other people in the town, and possibly his missing parent. And I like the format of mixing that with the action and the excitement of addressing the monster of the week.
Plenty of great action, an easy to follow story, and I like the emotional beats they put in with Bobby wanting his mom to call him on his birthday, with Rami being a caring but forgetful friend, and then this aunt who is trying to be there for Bobby but doesn't seem to have that parental experience yet.
If anyone wants to be there for me by writing me a blank check, please understand that that would mean so much to me emotionally, spiritually. So that is how you can be kind to me specifically.
That's the only way?
It's one way, and it's one great way, if anyone feels like it.
Okay. I could do like Rami and give you a friendship IOU.
Well, I can't cash that at the bank.
Correct.
Okay. Well, do you want to cash that and watch more episodes of The Doomies on Disney+?
I do. I really liked it. I would watch again seriously. I thought the story had a great setup. It seems like it's going to be easy to follow from the beginning, with lots of potential for the myth and the lore to expand. And I want to see what's going to happen to Bobby. How do you feel?
I agree. This is so cute. I'm so glad that they put all the episodes out because we'll learn another one of the animated shows we watched didn't, which I think served a purpose for them too. But focusing on this one, I'm excited to watch the rest of this. I truly think I'll probably do that this weekend. This is so
Ooh.
fun. I don't think it's quite Gravity Falls level, but for Gravity Falls Hive, I feel like it'll help scratch that itch now that I'm part of your community.
Okay, so how about we go from fun in a sleepy town to fun throughout history?
You're talking about Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness and Almost History of America on HBO. In honor of 250 years of this country, Larry David leads a sketch show sharing his interpretation of major historical events.
So, did you know it was a sketch show before you pressed play?
No, I did not know it was a sketch
Oh.
show. I guess I didn't think about what it would be. I assumed in some way it will be Curb Your Enthusiasm humor meets
Hmm.
American history, but I didn't know if that meant sketches or if that meant he's commenting on some of these things or doing some silly interpretations, but that's not the entirety of it.
I also didn't know, and I clearly didn't look at the title closely enough before
Yeah,
hitting
you didn't
play.
even know this was a Larry David joint.
Full of surprises.
What I will say is these sketches cracked me up. I especially loved the one of Alexander Graham Bell where he invents the phone and then immediately starts getting feedback before he even dials it
Hmm.
for the first time. I think if anyone ever in the history of people has ever tried to start a new idea, especially in a professional setting, this one will hit very close to home where it's like, what if we did this, this, this? And it's like, but what if I talked you through this first? Like, what if we just saw what the thing is before we figure out how to flip it, dip it, and trip it around? And then the other one that cracked me up, actually, all three. The other one on Rosa Parks, I was a little nervous
That was
about it,
funny.
but it made me laugh the way that his character was introduced. And it was so Larry David to be like a commuter who shut it down because he just did not want racism to slow down his trip. And then, of course, the one on the Declaration of Independence and it being very Larry David coded, where he just starts listing a bunch of complaints like, you cannot wish Happy New Year after like January 7th or something like that.
No deep breaths.
I did write in my notes, this is so BJ coded.
Did you just compare me to Robert Livingston?
I compared you to Larry David trying to put into legal effect a list of small complaints about how people and societies could work better.
Fun fact, listeners, I love that Singapore bans chewing gum. I think that's an excellent use of the legal system.
Like, as I was watching it, was like, I would hazard to think I would be surprised to learn if BJ is disagreeing with much of this or if he's disagreeing with the concept of codifying this into a Declaration of Independence. Someone who has, on the record on this podcast, come out as extremely pro HOA. You want to run a strict program one day.
I want a beautiful neighborhood for me and my neighbors.
What is the difference between that and putting rules like this into a Declaration of Independence?
Okay, I did not disagree with every suggestion that was proposed in that
I know you
sketch.
didn't. I know you didn't. I know a couple of them made you go,
Some of them were extreme. People should be able to share their dreams.
yeah, you and I love sharing our dreams with each other. But I do agree if you order a dessert, not a spoon for everyone.
Mm-mm. Get
Just
your own.
everyone get dessert.
If you can't afford dessert, I'm sorry.
And it's not even afford for so many people. It's just like, I don't want a whole dessert to myself. Okay, take half of it home.
Save it. Get a takeout.
We don't have to all dip into the same ice cream, then
Yeah.
dip into it again.
Get one scoop. Don't ask for 4 scoops.
Let's start making sense.
So you do agree.
With that one, yeah, I actually completely agree. I also really loved Samuel Jackson as the narrator. I do wish they'd given him even funnier dialogue because he can do anything. Like, he's so good at speaking.
Yes, he didn't participate as much as I expected. And it does leave me with the question, this is in honor of the 250th anniversary. How much of this is just pure entertainment in historical settings? And how much of this is actually supposed to provide some educational aspect. We're clearly playing around with who was there and what was said, but these are
Yeah.
still based off real events.
I cannot fathom someone turning to this for historical information. The idea of it just made me physically uncomfortable when you said it. I could see people learning about things for the first time through this show,
Mm-hmm.
even figures like Alexander Graham Bell, and
Mm-hmm.
even more importantly, I would argue Rosa Parks. But it makes me scared to think that this would be the introduction versus like just learning about these things and actually looking up information versus having this very funny but intentionally inaccurate take on these things.
That's fair. Although I didn't fact check, did Robert Livingston write the first draft of the Declaration of Independence?
I don't know.
I don't either. But the Livingstons, if anyone watches The Gilded Age, that's who they're related to.
Gang, gang.
That's why their family's so prominent.
Okay, well, do you want to watch more prominent families in Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness and Almost History of America on HBO?
Not really. This is not my style of humor. I enjoyed some of the moments, like the Rosa Parks skit. And I think, like some other sketch shows we've reviewed, I will let Me Too put in the labor of watching every minute of the show and then telling me which segments are worth my time.
Thank you for allowing me to perform labor for you. We'll see if that's one of the sketches in this program. Um, I will watch again. If you enjoyed Curb Your Enthusiasm, you will enjoy this. I think it's simple enough. It's very funny if you like that kind of humor. If you like to smile and laugh, I know BJ doesn't, but for the rest of us that do. And I think if you're into that kind of humor, you would want to watch again casually, which is what I'll be doing.
Good for you. Let me know how it goes.
Until then, why don't you tell us about a sci fi steampunk anime?
You're talking about Sparks of Tomorrow on Netflix. In an alternate past, an unlikely duo team up to look for a missing catalog that could bring electricity to the smoke-filled streets of Kyoto. On this journey, we follow Kahachi, voiced by Hunter McCoy as an adult, and Anjali Kunapaneni as a young adult, and Inako, voiced by Audrey Shea. So, me too, what did you think of this anime set in an alternate history where steam is ruling the industries?
I thought it was very beautiful, like the drawing style. I thought the truly opening scene where they're on a train was so arrestingly beautiful that I rewound it to see the train again because I was like, surely this is not drawn, like hand drawn. I just thought it was so lovely. And I like that at the center of this story for both characters, for Kahachi and for Inako, grief is really a driving force for them as they go on this hero journey as these like YA heroes. So we have Kahachi, who has become cynical from his grief. Like, he had a dream with his brother, he wanted to achieve that dream, and now he's kind of lost and feeling a bit down about the world and is withdrawing. On the other side of grief, we have Inako, who has become religious in the wake of her mom's passing and has become very engaged with her family and in the community around her because she's just trying to do anything to be a good person, to try to have conversation with her mom again. Basically, like, to be good enough and religious enough to achieve that. And so we have them on kind of two sides of the same coin. And I think that they did an interesting job of like showing us on either side of that how that can drive their hero journey, but also how that can drive them toward each other.
Yeah, I think they did a great job of bringing them together. They do clash a bit, but there is some chemistry that it helps you believe that they would team up for this mission going forward.
Yeah.
And it all looks so beautiful. From that train scene, we see a scene where Kihachi invents a projector and he then dreams up where this could go in society. And that whole dream animation sequence was beautiful. And then there's some, unique style choices that the animators put in with facial expressions,
Yes.
which sometimes threw me off because they were so absurd compared to how the characters normally are portrayed.
Yes, when he is explaining one of the devices that he invented, a recorder, to Inako, his face makes such a weird shape that I couldn't tell if they were briefly showing him as a villain. Like, I thought, is this evil? But then it's like, no, this is just his enthusiasm. Because we see Inako's grandma also make kind of a funky shape with her face when one of the points of Inako's character, or one of her flaws, is that she's very clumsy. So she accidentally breaks a bunch of cups and her grandma reacts strongly to it. I am curious for your perspective as, like, a resident nerd, anime nerd.
Oh, okay.
Is this mix
Trekkie.
of styles too much?
I don't think it was.
Okay.
I think this is, I don't want to say a trope, but something I've seen before in anime where the facial expressions or the body language can become absurd to show some emphasis on emotion.
Yeah.
And I think they're using it sparingly, but also consistently enough that it's starting to make sense for this world. Um, I do agree that sometimes it makes some of the characters seem more like villains, especially because the villain that we see so far is this wealthy man that is looking for this electric catalog and is willing to get engaged to whoever he needs to
Yeah.
get access. But then on top of that, we still don't really know what the story is about. We just know there's a lot of focus on the catalog that Kahachi's brother seemed to have in the beginning. But what does that mean?
Yes, there were so many threads that when I read a couple write ups of this episode after, because I was like, what happened? There were things that were mentioned in these recaps and reviews that I didn't recall watching. And this was 25 minutes. Like, this was not exactly asking much of my time. So there were just so many different journeys that we see these characters go on, so many different stories in their backgrounds. I think that there are some things that might be connecting his brother with Inako's family, unclear yet. There were just a ton of threads between each other, between them and the villain, between them and their dreams, between them and some forces we haven't seen yet. Just a lot going on. And there was like kind of a splashy closing scene, I think, to try to get us excited for the next episode. Because I think smartly, they're not putting all of the episodes out at once. They're doling them out weekly. But I think that that closing scene would have had more impact if we hadn't had so much introduced. I couldn't quite follow all of it.
Yes. And I think this show, comparing to the Doomies, which we just reviewed, which is an original story that they can make episodic, Sparks of Tomorrow is based off a novel. And I think the issues we're seeing are due to them trying to break up that full story into episode chunks.
Yeah, I also wonder if there's pressure too of like how much of the book they're representing in addition to how they're adapting it that might bog it down a bit.
Mm-hmm. It's
Like
challenging.
in addition to the logistics, the emotional piece, like wanting to meet fan expectation.
Has it met your expectations enough to keep watching more episodes of Sparks of Tomorrow?
This is hard because if you're not Anime Hive, I don't think that this is the one to bring you in. I think this one is a bit complicated. For me, I'm curious enough. Like, I think these hero characters are so sympathetic that I want to know what happens and I want to know what they will achieve. It's just not quite my cup of tea and not quite easy to follow. So I think I would flip the review that you just did
Oh.
back onto you of
Mm-hmm.
like, I would want you to tell me if it kind of becomes clearer and less complicated as it
Oh.
progresses. And then if that's the case, I'll jump back in.
Okay, you want me to use my time
Yeah.
instead of your time.
Yes.
Okay. I would watch again, maybe casually. I think, though, I need a few episodes to build up so I can watch it maybe 3 episodes at a time. I think the way they are breaking up the story in just this pilot is making that story seem more complicated or harder to follow. And I bet if I watch like 2 or 3 all together, it would make more sense. Because I am curious about Kahachi's interest in electricity, what happened to his brother, what's in this catalog, why does everyone want it? But I need more answers at once. Okay, so I'll put in that labor for us. You asked what part of history I would like to reenact. Maybe our college years.
Okay, that would be the historical event for you.
Yeah, anything further back than that doesn't seem that fun.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to that time.
Yeah, I need like better hygiene than all this American history stuff, and
True.
better resources, less diseases.
Safety and rights.
Didn't want to go there, but you were following along.
All right. Where can people follow along to more episodes of the Pilot Podcast?
All you have to do is head to our website at thepilotpodcast.com, and you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also send us thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, because every other week we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.